Hey, good girls and fellas, praying that you're having a great day, praying that all is indeed well. I would like to welcome each and every one of you to the For the Good Girls blog. Thank you so much for being here. If this is your very first time visiting my blog, I would like to say welcome to the For the Good Girls blog. I really appreciate you being here. I do not take your presence for granted. So please do me a favor as well as yourself. Go ahead and explore all of my previous blogs, the blogs that I started when I first came onto the scene, August 13th, 2021. Y'all, I will be embarking on 2 years this year. Crazy, right? But anyway, if this is your very first time, go ahead and explore the blog. Go ahead and enjoy yourself. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. And for those of you who are coming back constantly, time and time again, consistently supporting me, I thank you and I love you for your consistency, your love, as well as your support. Now, what everybody can do right now is go ahead to this YouTube page, subscribe so that you can receive all notifications like this because it's absolutely amazing, and share this with as many people as you possibly can. I would love for all of you to do that. So just a quick disclaimer before I jump on in there. Y'all excuse my hair today. It's wash day and I didn't get a chance to curl it and stuff because I was so excited to do this blog. So I know I look like Who Shot John, but God loves me, right? Y'all love me still, right? Yes, y'all still love me. But anyway, today we are continuing our Well series. If you missed last week's topic, which was Be Well, please do yourself a favor. Pause this video. Go back to my page and watch last week's series, Be Well. Let God's peace surpass your understanding. That thing was amazing. This week, week 2, we are going to be discussing waiting well. It's wait well. Wait well. Let's just sit there for a second. Wait well. Wait well. Patience is indeed a virtue. Patience isn't. So this week, we are going to be talking about wait well. Patience is indeed a virtue. Let's just meditate on that for a minute. Wait well. Patience is indeed a virtue. We can be very impatient when it comes to anything. I don't care what it's for. If it's food, if it's an opportunity, if it's transportation, if it's for someone to go through the light, whatever it may be, we become very, very impatient. Now, by no means have I mastered waiting, because there are some things I'm just like, God, the clock is ticking. But we have to understand that our timing is not God's timing. But I've been a little bit more diligent, like step by baby steps, a little bit more diligent in waiting for the things that I know that God has for me. Waiting for, whether it's, like I said, opportunities or a husband, children, marriage, a home, like whatever it may be. I am getting to a place in my life where I'm beginning to wait as much or as long as I need to, waiting on God to do certain things in my life. But while I'm waiting, I'm still working. So we cannot wait on God and not continuously move our feet. I was literally having this conversation with a girlfriend of mine this morning that we have to get in the habit of, like I said, waiting on God, but also working at the same time. We can't say that I have faith in God, because faith and works go together. You know, the word of God says faith without works is dead. So if you're waiting in faith, you don't just sit on the side and just say, okay, I have faith, so I'm going to just wait here, Lord, until you make a move because I have faith that you're going to do it. God says, no. Faith without works is dead. While you're having the faith, You have to continually work, continually do what it is that he's called you and assigned for you to do. But you also can't have works without faith. You can't just be doing things like, God, you just taking too long. So I'm gonna just go ahead and do my thing. I'm gonna do what it is that I want to do. I want to operate the way I want to operate it. I want to run my business the way I run it. And you just taking too long. So I'm gonna just keep doing this, and I'm gonna be busy, and I'm gonna take these meetings, and I'm gonna take that opportunity. I'm gonna take those classes. I'm gonna travel to that state. And God's like, slow down. Faith without works is dead. You cannot have one without the other. So with this topic today, we have to have patience, God's patience, in order to be able to wait well. And I know that's challenging for some of us, but we have to do it. It is a requirement. Why? Like I said before, our timing is not God's timing. He does things when he wants to. Now, there are some things that God assigns us to do that we need to get done. However, he provides the increase. He provides all of the things that we need to do in order to operate in faith and in order to continually keep going. We have to depend on God for those things. So in waiting well, we must understand that we are on God's time clock and not the other way around. Some of the things that we are being anxious for, we haven't even prepared for. So we're begging God, saying, God, I'm waiting on this. God, I want you to do that. God, I'm requiring for these things to happen for me, to me, in the timing, and because I desire these things. And God is like, well, you say you have the faith for it, but have you done the works? Have you put in the work? And some of us can say, yes, we have put in the work. I've taken this class. I've set up shop. I've prepared my mind for it. And okay, keep doing it until I say, then you can have it. You keep working. You keep moving. You keep shaking. We cannot operate as if God works for us. And I think that's how we think of him sometimes, as if he's a genie in a bottle. And that's not how this works. He is the creator of all. God created us. He is not that blue genie that comes out of the bottle in the movie Aladdin. That is not how God works. That is not how he operates at all. So we must understand that when God tells us to do something, there are some things that he will do immediately, but then there are some things that we have to wait for because we have to be in the right position in order to operate it or to get it done. So have you prepared for that very thing that you said that I've been waiting for, or that you've been waiting for? Like, for instance, and I know that I talk about my singleness a lot, and I discuss it on here, and it's not that I'm super impatient about it, and I'm like, I do get anxious sometimes, but I don't discuss it because, like I'm just trying to get ahead of God and trying to get him to hurry up because, I want him to hear me. But I talk about it a lot because, one, people can relate to it, whether it's that particular situation or something else. And it can help somebody to understand like where I'm coming from, or to help them to be like, you know what, maybe I need to slow down just a little bit. But even in my singleness, I can honestly say I'm prepared to be a wife. I'm prepared for a husband. I'm prepared for marriage. I'm prepared to have children. And then some things may come up, or I'm around like married couples, or I'm around parents with children. And I'm just like, now I know like a lot of things that the things that we would experience in life, the only way that you can either master them or understand them or operate in them as well as you possibly can is through experience. But sometimes when I look at some marriages and hear some stories, or I see some people with their children, and I just be like, Lord, I think I could wait a little bit longer. While marriage is a beautiful thing, having children is a beautiful thing, There's sometimes, and I know I don't allow other people's relationships or other people's experiences to taint my own, because I know what God has for me, and I know I operate a certain way, and I may operate different than other people. But sometimes it's just like, okay, maybe I need to work a little bit more on in this particular area. There are some things that we may have to work on financially, spiritually, physically, whatever the case may be, in whatever category you're waiting for God to do. You just have to be patient in the midst of it. Patience is definitely a virtue. It definitely is something that we should take heed of, that we should honor. Honor patience. Because there's a lot of people in this world that don't have it. Look at our government. They're making promises. They're putting the cart before the horse, making promises that they know they can't fulfill, because they're so anxious to be in office. I won't say this person's name, but there was someone in, I don't know if it was Congress or wherever it was, who lied on his resume because he was so anxious to be accepted and to be included that he did whatever he needed to do to get to where he was. And we have to understand that if we're not careful, we can put ourselves in positions and in places that we're not even equipped for. This is why we have to stay connected and in tune with God at all times. I heard this a couple of times on social media, and I also talked about it with my girlfriend today, because there are some people who are operating in positions that they're not prepared or equipped or qualified for. Now, I'm not talking about the qualified, like, people say, God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the call. I'm talking about people who are literally in positions like the one I mentioned, they don't qualify for. They don't know what to do when they get there. All they do is look up some stuff and just go along, and sometimes they don't even enjoy it. Sometimes they don't enjoy it. They're like, I don't really want to do this, but it pays good money. I really don't like this, but I'm so deep in, I can't get myself out. I am being so intentional these days and literally waiting on God and allowing him to guide my footsteps and into the places that he wants me to be. And I know this is hard for me to say, like, for people who love and care for me dearly that watch this blog, but I don't know what path God has for my life in the future when it comes to whether he's going to keep me in the state that I live in, or if he's going to move me to the South, or if he's going to move me to the West Coast, or move me to the Midwest. I don't know. But if that's what God requires for me to do, if that's what he's calling for me to do, then by all means, I'm packing my bags and I'm getting out of here. Why? Because that's what God has called me to do. It may be a little scary for me at first because I'm so used to being around my family and my loved ones. I'm used to being at the same church. But if God says, listen, you got to pack your bags now or this day, and you need to move to this place because that's what I want you to do. This is where your calling is. This is where I've assigned you to be. And guess what? I have to be okay with that, regardless of how anybody who I love dearly, I respect, and I honor, regardless of what they think. God instructs us to do what he wants us to do. Not saying that that's what the case is, but if that happens, then guess what? I said I was patiently waiting on God, waiting for him to give me, whether it's a sign, waiting to tell me audibly, or whether to just help me to figure it out. Just drop a gem and say, hey, now it's time for you to pick up and go. I said I was waiting on him. He never, sometimes God don't tell you. He may give you a plan. He may tell you what it is. I'm planning for you to do this. But he doesn't always give you the instructions that's a part of the plan. I think y'all understand what I'm saying. Like, he may give you a glimpse, like, this is what I'm calling you to do. But sometimes you don't know like the full path of where that's going to lead you, except for when God is guiding you along the way. He's not going to give you a roadmap and a manual for your entire life and saying, here you go, study this, and then just show up when it's time for you to show up. Nope. You take your instructions from God. So I had a goal in my early 20s that I wanted to be married. About 25, I wanted to be married and have kids. That was my goal. And I said, God, if I don't have kids and I'm not married by the time I'm 25, you can forget it. I ain't having none. God was like, okay. Okay. Sure. And I'm so glad that that did not happen for me. Honestly, I'm glad that it didn't. Because I know that I was not prepared at that moment in my life to be anybody's wife or to be anybody's mama. And I tell you that because I was having a good time living my life. I was having too much of a good time living my life. Going wherever I wanted to go. Now, still moderately, just chilling, but, everything wasn't always, But I'm so glad that I didn't because I was enjoying my life. I was traveling to places, going out whenever I felt like going out, coming in whenever I felt like coming in. Like I used to, like around that time, like in my early 20s, mid 20s, and somewhat in my late 20s, I was coming home like 3 o'clock in the morning on a weekday. 3 o'clock in the morning, I would work all day, go out about 6, 7 o'clock, maybe 8 o'clock, sometimes 9, and then come home 3 o'clock in the morning and have to get up at 6 o'clock to get ready for work. Crazy, right? Yep. But I was young. I was energetic. I did it. I wasn't as, now I couldn't do that today. Those days are long gone. I promise you. I promise. The only time I get home like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning is if I have like a red eye flight or something like that. That's the only time that I'm traveling that time, like outside, if I'm like traveling. But other than that, Tamika's in the house. But I was having a good time. And I learned along my life's journey that I can't rush God into doing something, or I can't pressure him into doing something that I want because I want it. That's just like your kids. And I heard somebody tell this story like a couple months ago, and I thought it was like, it was a simple story, but it was just it made sense. And they were saying like, you can't always give your kids what they want, especially, like when kids be like, oh my God, I love burgers. I want a burger. Can I have a burger? And you give them a burger. Like, or you may go out and buy them like I'm dating myself a little bit, those White Castle burgers, those box of White Castle burgers. So you're like, you know what? They like burgers all the time. I'm going to buy this 24 box from Sam's Club or 36, however many's in the box. And I'm storing them in the freezer because he or she likes burgers. The next day, you go to give that child a burger. I don't like burgers. I want nuggets. And you like, so what I'm going to do with these other 35 burgers, because you ate you ate one the day before and you got 30. So what I'm going to do with these 35 burgers? Because you say you don't like burgers. So you just like, fine. I'm going to just let them. All right, I'll get them some nuggets. And then time goes by. The burgers that's been sitting in the freezer for months, they get freezer burned. You go to throw them out. The child then yells, what you doing? I want burgers. But I thought you said you didn't like burgers. But I like burgers now. That's how we are sometimes when it comes to God. Sometimes we want something in the moment because it sounds good, it looks good, it feels good. And then a couple weeks, next day, a couple months later, year later, I don't want this no more. We discard our relationships. Like we said we wanted this man. God, please give me this man. Like I want that man, or I want this woman. And you get them, then you get to know him. You be like, this one for the streets, Lord. Come get him, please. I don't want him no more. Or I can't wait to work at that job because I heard that they do X, Y, and Z. And you get there and you realize it's not all up to what you thought it was going to be. And you just like, Lord, please bless me with another job. Lord, please, I don't want to be here no more. We're fickle we're fickle in our flesh sometimes. And it's like, God's just like, okay, just hang on a little while longer. Just wait on me. I got you covered. So I'm about to let y'all go in a minute. In a minute. So waiting on God is worth it because he knows us best. We have to allow him to prepare us while we are waiting for whatever it is that he desires for us. So notice that I didn't say what I desire or what we desire, because sometimes what we desire is more of a burden than it is a blessing. And we need to get to a place where we allow God's desires to become our desires. Because sometimes, like I gave the example with the little kid with the burger, sometimes our desires, they sound great and they're wonderful in the moment. And then we regret them. We just like, Lord, this is not what I thought it was going to be. Please remove this from me. I don't want to do this anymore. So we have to seek after what it is that God desires for us. We can still have, goals and dreams and all of that stuff. And if it aligns with God's will for your life, then wonderful, you're on the right track. But those things that we desire that doesn't align with his will, we have to reconsider those things, or, okay, God, replace my will with your will. Whatever it is that you want for me, God, replace that for me. Like I said this in one of my Sunday school lessons about a few weeks ago. And I said that if it's not giving God glory, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. People, they call me boring. They like, oh, you're not fun. That's fine. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with not being the life of the party or your cup of tea. I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but guess what? I am some people's cup of tea. Those people who are assigned to my life, those who are assigned to my voice, those who are assigned to my future, assigned to the visions that I have that God has for me. I'm their cup of tea, and that's okay. You're not going to be everybody's everything, and that's fine. Jesus Christ was blameless. He was sinless. He did absolutely nothing wrong. He was perfect in all of his ways, and people still didn't like him. So it's okay if you're not everybody's cup of tea. So just continue to wait on God. Do what it is that he's called you to do. Because what? Patience is indeed a virtue. All right, y'all. That's all I have for y'all today. I thank y'all so much for listening. Thank you so much for joining me today. I love y'all. And I'm going to go ahead and do this head of mine. See y'all later. Bye.